And here's a video on graphing polynomials. I'm actually going to start. I'm not used to this Zoom. They keep updating this thing. I'm actually going to start with a sign chart. So we'll do a sign chart. And we'll just kind of randomly make a sign chart. So I'm going to start the problem with a sign chart. So I don't know. Let's say maybe we have a negative 3 here. Maybe we have a negative 1 here. Maybe we have a 2 here and a 5 here. And I don't know, let's have our behaviors be. If this is negative, this is a single root, so this would have to be positive. This is a double root, so this would also have to be positive. This is a triple root, that changes the sign, so this would have to be negative, and then this would have to be positive. So there's a complete sign chart. We're going to make all these zeros. We'll do things later on where maybe the critical points actually aren't zeros. And let's just pick a y-intercept just so that we have one. Again, I'm just kind of making something up, but I need it to be positive because -1 to 2 in the x-axis is where the 0 would be, and it's a positive value. So let's make it is equal to 10. Is equal to 10. Or includes the point 0, 10. Okay, so how do we graph from a sign chart? First, I'm going to make a graph over here. Oh, wow. That is really a terrible line. Let me try that again. Wow. Sorry. I thought it would straighten those lines out for me. Make this line this way. Okay, that's better. So on the graph, I'm going to put 1, 2. We definitely have a point here. 3, 4, 5. We definitely have another point here. Going the other way, 1, we have a point here. And -3. So -1 and -3. So we have a point here. All right. The y-intercept is 10. Remember, this is a sketch, so I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to put 10. We're going to go through that point there. Okay. The going across here, from left to right, from right to left, doesn't really matter which way you do it. I guess I'll work from left to right. The -3, the x equals -3 is a single root. It goes from positive to negative. Therefore, my graph must come down and through that point. At -1, we actually have a triple root. So that's going to look like a half a parabola on this side, on the negative side, and then another half a parabola on the positive side. So it has that swiggle through it that looks like a cubic. Then the x equals 2 is quadratic in nature, or a double root. So it's going to have a bounce, just a U-shaped bounce. And then 5 is going to pass through, going from positive to negative. And then I'm just going to kind of connect the dots, which I can't do very well with the stylus, but you get the idea. Very inaccurate, but there's my graph. Okay, now the other thing we need to do is to be able to go from a graph to an equation. So if you went from a graph, you'd be able to go to the sign chart, and then to the equation. So what does this equation imply? Let's see, f of x is equal to, stick a k in here. Don't forget your k. We'll figure out what k is later, what value it is, but just it holds a scalar there so that the 0, 10 can wind up being on the graph. Otherwise, the 0, 10 is uncontrollable because it's dictated based on the zeros. And then for each of the critical points on your sign chart, or for each time we hit the x-axis, we're going to do some type of a binomial. So the first one for the -3 is x plus 3. It's a single root, so I'm not going to put any exponent on that binomial. And then the next one for the x minus 1, or for the x equals -1, we're going to have x plus 1. And that's a triple root, so I'm going to put a 3 outside the binomial. That's a triple root. That means that x plus 1 exists 3 times in the polynomial. And then x equals 2 is going to give us an x minus 2. And that one's squared because it's a double root. And then finally, x minus 5 for x equals 5 as the last root. And that's a single root because it's a pass-through. So we need to do a k value. We know that when x equals 0, our y value equals 10. So k times, if we plug 0 into these, we'll get 3. This is times 3. K times 3 times 1 times negative 2 squared is 4 times negative 5. Remember, it's times negative 5. So we gotta multiply all these numbers, equals 10. This seems like 60k mathematically equals 10. Just double checking to make sure this seems right. Yeah, this seems good. So k equals 1/6. 10 divided by 60, 1/6. And then you can scratch this out and stick a 1/6 in here. Or if you're working in pencil and it's easy to write out, which it's not with this stylus, is to rewrite this out with a 1/6 where the k was. So there's a little example. You could go from the equation to the sign chart to the graph. You could go from the graph to the sign chart to the equation. I suppose you can skip the sign chart in the middle, although I'm looking for you to do that as part of your exercise today. Thanks very much. I hope that helps.